Hey guys, KUZO here, back with another video, and in this video today we're going to be drawing Nezuko from Kimetsu no Yaiba. And I decided I wanted to draw Demon Nezuko as well as Cute Nezuko on the same page, and I went ahead and split up the page between Cute Nezuko and Demon Nezuko with a kind of manga panel slash in the middle. And I thought that would be a fun way to kind of show the two different sides of her emotions with that kind of manga panel layout. Just to talk about Nezuko for a little bit, one thing I find really funny and also cool is how she can shrink and get inside that box. But one of the questions I've often asked myself about that ability was I was wondering if the creator purely made that ability for the fact that he needed a way for Tanjiro to be able to carry her around. Because, you know, carrying a person around on your shoulders or in a basket at full size just isn't very realistic. I know, anime isn't always realistic to begin with, but that would have been a little far-fetched for Tanjiro to actually be carrying a full-sized, Nezuko around on his back, in this like really big box, because it probably would have been a pretty big box. And then it's not like she can necessarily just travel with him since she's a demon and people might catch on to that. So I'm really wondering if that was just a fun ability he gave her, or it was one of those things that I was like, she might need to shrink to get in this box and make it a little smaller for Tanjiro to be able to carry her around. But yeah, that's something strange that was on my mind, just about the creator and his thought process behind that. In any case, Nezuko has earned one of those badges of being one of the most adorable anime characters thus far, especially in this season at least. I can only imagine how many plushies and chibi dolls or, chibi chains of Nezuko are going to sell at cons and online and stuff like that. It's probably going to be bananas. Let's talk a little bit more about Nezuko's character and how Tanjiro is looking to, change her back into a human. Often you wonder, well, will Tanjiro be able to turn her back into a human? And the thing is this is a shonen manga, so typically the goal in which the character wants to succeed at typically happens within that series. It's a shonen at least. Like seinen definitely kind of strayed from that, but this is from Shonen Jump. This is definitely a shonen series. So I feel like Tanjiro is going to, in the end, be able to succeed at it, but it's probably going to be at some sort of cost. Just like how in Fullmetal Alchemist, Edward was able to get everything back, but at a big cost. And I'm not going to necessarily spoil anything in the series, but let's just say, if you ever watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get on that. But I'm not saying that Tanjiro is going to necessarily lose anything or anything like that, but it's definitely going to be a hard journey because, that's the whole part of the series. If it wasn't a hard journey in order to have this happen, the story would be very, very lame. So there's probably going to be some really big bumps in the road as they go along, as the story progresses. And once Nezuko is turned back into a human, I wonder if that's going to be the end of the series, or if he has something planned where she is able to be turned back into a human before the end of the series, and the series actually continues past that point. But this series is still very new and it has a whole lot of room to grow, and I'm pretty excited to see where it goes from here. I have not got on the manga yet. I know the manga is very far ahead, and I'm sure there's some answers to the things I just mentioned before, probably in the manga already, because I've actually seen a couple little spoilers that I was like, oh, that's interesting that that's happening in the manga at that point in time. So I'm not going to mention them just in case, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. But yeah, definitely some interesting things going on. And I am thinking about actually picking up the manga since the anime season has just ended. And it's pretty interesting that they're going to be going with a canon movie. That's actually pretty cool that they're going to be doing that. It's kind of sucked that they didn't just go for a full-on second season, which is kind of strange, because if they're going to come out with the movie and it's going to be canon, does that mean they're just going to skip to a second season at some point and then just like disregard the movie as not being part of the season or the series. I don't know, that's kind of weird. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, when I say canon, I'm not talking about just going along with, actual events in the story. I'm talking about it's literally supposed to be adapting a, arc within the manga. So that's why I'm saying it's a bit strange. But, they probably got a plan. So, I'll leave it up to the masterminds of the anime creating world to, put out the content. But one thing is, if there's a second season, or if they wanted to call it a third season, whatever, the sequel to the first season, would not want any other animation studio to do it, because it would end up turning out being like a One Punch Man situation. And even though the season's been going on, I don't even know if it's ended or not for One Punch Man, but man, that really fell off the map at some point. And it's just really sad, because I really like One Punch Man, and I was trying to really get into the new season of it, but I don't know, it just wasn't really clicking for me. Not to say I wouldn't finish the second season at some point, but yeah, anyways, back to Kimetsu no Yaiba. I really wouldn't want to see any other animation studio do this series, because I feel like one of the reasons why the anime even took off was because of the studio. Other than that, it's a pretty standard shonen, and I feel like it's just the way they directed it and the way they, portrayed the scenes and the emotions in the scenes really sold the series for what it is, because it was already a solid series, but with really good animation and really good directing, it really took it to the next level. And it goes to show what just good directing can do on a series. It can really bring it to life. And also, just really good animators as well, but I feel like everything has to come together, because there can be really good animation but bad directing, and it could all fall apart. And there can also be, mediocre animation but really good directing, and it sells the story really well. What happened here is definitely had very good directing and a very good animation studio, and it really hit it out of the park once they finally got to a more emotional part in the series. Because obviously, like the beginning of the series, it was emotional, when Tanjiro's family died and stuff like that, but we weren't invested in the characters at that point in time. But all the way later on, when the series blew up, I forgot which episode it was, like 16, where, Tanjiro killed that one demon, we were already invested in the characters and seeing him and, kind of like the flashback of his father, and then Nezuko coming in. It all kind of came to a head into this really beautiful scene, and we were already invested in the characters, so it made it even more impactful. It was a pretty standard scene if you were to think about it. But the build up to everything and the pacing was done very, very well. But enough of rambling about the series for now. But one last thing is, it is sad that the first season has ended, and now we gotta wait for, the movie, and then to see what happens from there. But it's exciting to see the fact that it made such big waves. That is definitely going to be a franchise that sticks around, and hopefully the studio sticks around for it as well. But to talk about the illustration a little bit, so like I said, I wanted to go for kind of like a manga panel split in the middle, and then have cute Nezuko to the right and Demon Nezuko to the left. In the beginning, I had originally drawn Demon Nezuko a little bit too small for the panel. If you guys noticed in the beginning, I actually had to erase her and then redraw her, and I was thinking about cutting that out of the video, but I decided to leave it in because it was like, it might as well let you guys see that portion of it. If I didn't show it, it would have just been the same thing as if you saw me drawing digitally and I took, selected the person and then made them bigger within that area, digitally. So, but I decided to leave it in for some of you guys, because I know some of you like to see me redraw things. It gives you some comfort to know that I make a lot of mistakes as well. And I never want you guys to think I don't make mistakes, because I make plenty of mistakes, and mistakes are how you get back up and learn from those mistakes and get better. And I'll let you guys know what I'm drawing on here. Most of you probably know, but anyone who hasn't seen my other videos may be new here. I'm using a 0.7 disposable Bic mechanical pencil, and I'm using a smooth bristles board paper. This specific piece of bristleboard paper I had cut in half from a full bristleboard paper, one of the bigger sized ones, and I ended up chopping off a little piece of the edge to make it a little less long, but in general this is a little bit smaller than my normal illustrations. Hence probably why you can see the lines are a little bit thicker than normal. Like I always mention, I pretty much just like really smooth paper. Other than that, I'm not very picky about what I draw on specifically. Like most of these illustrations I would probably do in a sketchbook if it wasn't for the fact that sketchbooks are a little harder to draw on when I'm actually recording them, because the one side of the book will get caught on stuff when I'm trying to move it around. So doing it with the bristleboard paper just makes it easier for recording. As you can see me moving the paper around a bunch. Doing that with a sketchbook, it's just hitting everything around my desk. But just talk a little bit about the shading that we're going into here. This is some of the biggest black spots I've ever done on a penciled illustration as of recently, because I don't really like doing black spots with pencil, because I don't like filling in these huge black areas with pencil, because it has this texture to it if you don't do it right, where it looks very strange, and I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of like this weird scribbly dark texture. But basically what I tried to do with this was I tried to go with the grain of what direction the hair's going when I was doing these blackouts and shines and stuff. So I tried to make it seem like it was, when I was doing the blackouts, it was flowing with the hair instead of it being in random directions. Which, looking at it now, I know I could have done a little bit better, and I can always improve on this process, but I'm alright with how it came out. It's not the best ever, but I definitely learned a little bit while doing it, and it was actually pretty fun. But in general, I'm still not a big fan of doing blackouts with pencil. As you guys can tell, I'm going all the way in with pencil on this one, which means I'm not going to be inking this, which is kind of against the code of Inktober, since this is uploaded during October. Like, what the heck, KUZO? But I don't know. I don't know what I have planned for Inktober on this channel specifically. I know on my second channel I want to try to upload a lot more Inktober stuff on that, because it'll be like real-time stuff, so that'll be fun. On this one, I was thinking about maybe inking some of my past illustrations that were only pencil, specifically one. But other than that, I would probably just do new illustrations for some Inktober stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I ink stuff anyway, so it's like, I guess I'm always doing Inktober, but it's just not October. But yeah, one of the illustrations that I was thinking about inking was my 7 Deadly Sins one of all of the 7 Deadly Sins. That one's in only pencil, and I was thinking about inking that one because that was right before I started getting into the inks on my channel a lot heavier. And that's one that I think would be really cool if I finished it. But anyways, so which Nezuko in this illustration do you like the most? The demon Nezuko or the cute Nezuko? Comment in the comment section which one you like the most. But I also wanted to mention that I'm trying to upload a little bit more often. Recently, I've been only uploading one video a week, so pretty much every 6 days, 7 days or so. And I'm hoping to try to get out 2 videos a week. And there's a point when I was doing that, and I want to try to get back to it. But it's definitely hard trying to balance everything I'm doing at once. But I definitely want to try to get back on it. But in any case, if you guys want to help support this channel, help support my artists, you guys should check me on my Patreon. Link in the description. I'd like to take this time to thank my current patrons. You guys are the best pencil nobbies there are and help me be able to do what I do on this channel. As well as I'd like to give special thanks to my Chunin and Jonin tier Patreons. I have finally updated the list, but my goodness, there are so many of you guys that it's crazy. I don't know if I could say all of that because I don't have enough time in this video, but as you guys can see, the list is definitely up, and you guys are awesome. Thank you guys very much. And just thank you to all my Patreons. You guys are awesome. As well as anybody who's actually made it this far in the video. You guys are totally awesome as well. In any case, I hope you guys like how the illustration came out. And yeah, in any case, if you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new to this channel, like you just see, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notified when each video comes out. And like always, guys, hope you're having a great day. And I'll see you guys in the next video.